Planet Magazine.
Also known as Wednesday 13. Welcome to Brutal Planet Magazine.
Welcome to Brutal Planet Magazine.
Welcome to the video. Welcome to Brutal Planet Magazine.
You're listening to Brutal Planet.
Hey, what's up, everybody? CJ Pierce here from Toronto Pool, and you're listening to Brutal Planet Media right here. Get yourself.
Hey, I'm Steve from Within the Ruins, and this is Brutal Planet.
Well, I didn't have to. Welcome, Brutal Planet followers. I didn't have to find it because it was on there. I forgot that it was on there.
Yeah, that is some intro. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I saw CJ Pierce is on there. Very cool.
Yeah. There's a lot of people on there. I like I said, I love it because it reminds me of I Want My MTV.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that.
Very cool.
So how are you doing today?
I'm good. I am waiting for a delivery of CDs to my house. Normally I'm at the studio doing this and making a lot of noise. And
Yeah.
so the CDs were supposed to arrive yesterday, and I had it said, no signature required, leave them by the garage, and they didn't. So got one of the notices saying we tried to deliver it. So now I am doing this from home and just waiting for these CDs to finally arrive. Like, they're at the warehouse, they're at the distro. I'm just waiting to get them so I can just be like, and just.
So you can stop at a street corner and say, here you go, here you go, here you go, here you go. Yeah.
That's pretty much,
It's good for you. I mean, the cool thing is that at least we have a physical copy of music still.
Oh yeah. I should have brought home from the studio for this. The vinyl, I did cassettes.
You did cassettes?
Cassettes.
Nice.
Yeah, just pretty much everything from the last 30 years. I was thinking about my very first album, which was out on CD and cassette in 1995.
Yeah.
Vinyl was barely a thing at that point. It really wasn't much of an option for indie artists. Even though I was signed, but it was still, it wasn't a big company or anything. So, since then, I was like, all right, 30 years of evolution going on. I want to include all of it. So vinyl, it's beautiful vinyl, like tons of art, because that's what we love about vinyl. It's like having this big piece of art in your face and pullouts and all this stuff. So the gatefold opens up, art. You pull out 2 discs. They're in full color, nice inserts with art on both sides, and the second disc has UV printing on it of like the spaceships and the asteroids and things from the cover. So it's a clear disc with art on side 4.
Oh, that's cool.
And, yeah, so all the vinyls like that. The CD has, instead of a booklet, no staple or anything, it unfolds into a big square of art. And the cassette unfolds like half a dozen times into this long strip of art. And what else? And then, of course, streaming and downloading and all that crap.
So just curious, who did your artwork?
Oh, well, I came up with the concept and a lot of the little ideas of things. And then I tried to draw the main spaceship, guitar ship, sort of like something based on this guitar, but a spaceship that my cat Simon is piloting. And we'll probably wander down soon. And that's when I realized that I really suck at art. So hired a dude to make that spaceship, that guitar ship thing. I'm going to call it a guitar ship.
Yeah.
And then what I did, and I'm so glad, is hired a 3D rendering artist to take that 2D art that the guy made of the ship and turn it into a virtual 3D model. So this way, you can use Blender software, like 3D modeling software, and you can take that thing and you could put it from any angle, any perspective, any lighting. You never have to redraw it. So this way you could use it all different ways and figure out what's best for the art. It's like the back of the album, here's the ship leaving, and in the middle of it, just coming straight at. And you can use it in video. So we used it in the music video and used it in the video game. Do you know about the video game?
I do, but tell everybody that doesn't know about it.
Yes, I just wanted this to be a very fun album release, not just throwing it on Shitify and that's the end of it, So you have all the physical stuff, and Deco Records, great record label, wonderful guys. They are handling retail distro, so it'll be in retail as well. Anywhere where they sell records, if you say, "Do you have the Bumblefoot album?" They'll say, "No, but we could get it for you." And it's gonna, yeah. They're also partnered with Cargo Records in the UK, and I'm getting a lot more distro, and just got an order for a bunch of CDs.
Nice.
So it's getting out there.
Good.
So what we did, besides all of that stuff, you have the music video. It's like 8 minutes of crazy, really warped, fucked up animation shit in there. And then with that video, there's a friend of mine that has a video game company out in Poland. Great dude named Radek Pinsky. He hit me up and said, "Let me help you with the music video." And I'm glad he did, because
Nice.
I am, I am not all these things. I need to delegate to people that know what the hell they're doing.
Exactly.
So, yeah, so he made the video phenomenal. And then he offered to make a video game. It's a free game, just a fun, retro, old school space shooter. You have all the stuff from the music video and the album art. You are the ship. You just hold your finger down, you move it around, and it just keeps shooting. Boo, 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 boo. And you have all different levels, and they start firing back at you, and you collect the power points and all that stuff. And it's just a fun way to listen to the music while you're just playing a video game. It has the music playing as the game goes. And yeah.
I mean, talk about evolution. I mean, you got it right there. You and I remember, we're about the same age. We remember going to an arcade and playing video games. And I mean, now it's like right there on your phone for you.
Exactly. All the things that could be done, I'm doing. All the sounds that I used, the guitar sounds, they're all through the Line 6 Helix pedal. All the weird guitar sounds. So those are available at Line 6. If you go to line6.com,
Nice.
go to Marketplace, you can get all the guitar sounds that I made for all the songs on the album. And now there's this company, Sheet Happens Publishing. Great name. They do all the transcription books for a lot of guitar music.
Okay.
So they are going to release the transcription book. I wrote it out myself. Every single guitar track, every single part in every song, the fingers, the picking, the musical notation, the tab, everything. So it's super detailed, and that's going to come out. And the guys at Deco Records, they are into the comic book world. They're immersed in that. So we're going to do a Bumblefoot comic book.
Nice.
I just got to think up some weird stories, and then we'll make that happen. And
Yeah.
the hot sauce. I got the hot sauce company for a dozen years. So I was going through the song titles, like what would be a good hot sauce name? The third song, Moonshine Hootenanny. So I'm thinking of like a vinegary, sort of Louisiana style hot sauce, and boil down some moonshine and put it in there to flavor it up, and that should be good. Yeah, so I'm gonna get all that going. This is all, I'm telling you, it's like more work just for the release than making the damn album.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But I mean,
making the songs is easy.
Yeah. But you know, it's all possible now, and it's part of it's all of the technology we have now, and it's crazy to think about.
Yeah, this is a great time to be alive. It's a great time to be a musician. Like we could all bitch and moan about, Spotify isn't paying us and this and that. Well, nobody was ever paying us. You just got to be creative with what you do and put out things that people will value, and it'll work itself out if you bust your ass and if you're as creative with how you release the album as you are with making songs. And that's what musicians have to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's changed so much, but it's not changed.
No, it's the start point and the end point are the same. Just the middle of the road getting there has changed a bit. Yeah. But it's fine. It's good. You know what? This is stuff we dreamed about when we were younger. Like imagine if you could just release music instantaneously that you could make yourself and the whole world will hear it. I mean, imagine bands 70 years ago, if you told them someday you're going to have something called a website. They'd be like, oh my God, you mean the whole world can hear our music and learn about us and see where we're playing and all this stuff? Yeah. So it's a damn good thing.
It is. It is. And I think about like just talking to you, I think about like when you and I grew up and we had albums and that's all we had. And you had magazines and that was your way of information.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You just go to the store and find all the rock magazines,
Yeah.
Cream, Hit Parader, and whatever else.
Circus and all those.
Circus, of course.
Yeah.
Circus. Yeah.
And then we got MTV.
Yep.
Yeah.
That changed everything.
It did. It did.
Now, living in New York, though, there was all this bureaucratic bullshit that was preventing us from getting cable. And the only way, like, we didn't get cable until the end of the 80s. So everyone else was watching MTV, and we had to always go from, like, whoever lived in the boroughs of New York City. We would get excited if we were going to go visit our cousins in Long Island because they had MTV, and we would spend the whole time just watching MTV. And the parents would be upstairs yelling, it's like, come up for dinner.
Yeah.
And watching videos all day. And
I remember the exact same thing. In fact, I had a friend that had a satellite. Remember the giant satellites? And they had one of those.
Yeah.
And it had an MTV East and an MTV West. And you would watch the songs and find out which ones you wanted to record. And then you'd write it down. And I would have a VCR and I would record all the songs that I wanted to record. And so I'd get the whole song. And it was epic. I still have that cassette somewhere, the video cassette. It's like 6 hours of music videos.
And it meant so much to wait for the song and actually get it.
Yeah.
Like, it was not, music was not disposable. It was not, it was something important. It was something that you waited for. Yeah.
So what was I just curious, and then we'll talk about your album, but I'm curious is what album do you remember, like, anticipating, waiting to come out and then getting it and just immersing yourself in it?
Oh, there was so many. Okay, the first one that comes to mind is Number of the Beast.
Okay.
It's when I was a kid and I was just browsing a record store. I saw the cover of Killers. Go to the guy at the counter, this any good? He's like, well, and I take it home, just check it out, and I'm amazed by it. Get right back to the record store and buy everything else they had, and which is just the first album and Made in Japan had just come out. And I remember reading that they got a new singer. I was like, oh no.
Oh yeah.
You know? It's like, no. And then got Number of the Beast. And when I heard that first scream that he did, ba 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 ba.
Yeah.
I was like, this is great. Good. Humanity is restored.
Yes.
And
yes.
Yeah. So that one, definitely waiting for Number of the Beast, but nervously, because it's like they had a new singer, and I was worried that they were going to lose their thing.
Yeah, yeah. The cool thing about that is like Iron Maiden itself, it's not just the music, it's the album and it's the artwork and all that. So you just like, you immerse yourself into that album and you just look at it and you look at the liner notes and
yeah, and the continuous story of album to album.
Yeah.
And all the tiny details in the art, you know, what in the window in the background, what's happening in there, and
exactly
all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the evolution of Eddie. Yeah.
And you know what, though, coming back to, let's talk about your album has a lot of the same stuff, especially the new one. It has a lot of the little stuff you just have to look, like the flying mouse and the piranha flying through the air, and just like all kinds of little things that you really have to really just look at to figure out. So that's why you need a physical copy.
Yeah. And if you watch the music video, those are all things that I took out of the music video to use for the album art.
Yeah.
And if you watch that video in slow motion, there's such weird shit in there. Yeah.
Oh, I'll bet.
Yeah. And it's all things, I guess it starts with the song Simon in Space, which starts the album and is the music video and everything. And it became a big part of the concept of the album art. And Simon is my cat. And during the pandemic, while writing this album, Simon acquired the humans, got us, and allowed us to keep living in Simon's house here.
Yeah.
And he would sit right by that window over there in this circular bed and just watch and just patrol the neighborhood for unwanted squirrels and birds. And he looked like he was in a spaceship when he was like sitting in this round thing, and it was like at an angle because his butt would just kind of tilt it. And we would joke that he's picturing himself in a spaceship. We're picturing him in a spaceship. So we made, just for our amusement, an Instagram account called Simon in Space. And it's just him in that bed in all different space scenarios. And so when I was making that first song, and when I do instrumental music, I'm always visualizing things. I'm picturing actual visual things in my head. And it's almost like I'm scoring whatever I'm imagining. And that comes back to doing a lot of scores for video games and little indie horror movies and a lot of TV shows. So I was making that song. It just starts off with one idea. I was writing all the Whom Gods Destroy music with Derek Sherinian, my bandmate in that, and some Apollo. So we were writing all that music. And it bled into this album a lot. The approach of just like this low, draggy, dark, chromatic, weird kind of riffs. So the album opens with that. I wanted it to feel like you just woke up in a tornado, like your brain hasn't, like it needs 10 seconds to figure out what's going on. It's like, where am I? What is this? And just like all that chaos and just the pummeling. So you have that riff, and then it opens up, and then you have the nice melody. And it started just feeling like, I know I sound like a little kid when I talk about these songs, but it sounded like a space adventure in a way. Like that's what I was picturing. Like you're going through just different space scenarios when it has the pretty melody of the chorus. You're seeing this colorful nebula, this gorgeous, amazing stuff. And then it comes back to the crazy pummeling. It's like, oh, back in the asteroid belt. And everything. And it really felt by the end like 8 minutes of like really just going on a ride.
Nice.
And it just all came together. It was like, oh, Simon in Space. So that's why I call the song Simon in Space.
Okay.
And the music video is supposed to be his perspective. And that's why all the artwork and all the things are things that a cat would predatorially find objectionable. You have alien mice and fish and birds, or just things he would want to go after. Meteors made out of cheese, things like that. It's all things that Simon would react to in space. So that became the music video and the album art and everything.
Nice. I mean, it sounds like you had fun making this album.
Yes, there's like this innocent kind of, I just don't give a fuck kind of fun. Yeah, and that's how it should be.
Yeah.
Just enjoy. And the album is like that. Like I didn't have this rigid, okay, I got to stay in this one lane. It has to sound this way and it has to be this. No, just whatever you're living during that time period while you're making the album, whatever inspires you, you just make an honest song about it. So every song is going to have a different vibe, the same way if it was a photo album of here's everything I did during the pandemic. Not every picture is going to be exactly the same with the same look, or same clothes in the same place. No, it's like, here's at the Eiffel Tower. Here's in my pool. Here's sleeping, whatever it is. The songs are the same way. So one song, like I was sitting right on this couch, we're watching some documentary on blues guitar players, and someone was playing this like bluegrassy kind of thing, and suddenly I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I just grabbed this guitar actually, and just immediately, without thinking, without planning it, without just this riff just came out of my head. I was like, oh, I got to keep that. I got to make that a song. And then I thought of the movie Raising Arizona. Remember?
Oh, yes.
Where it had that.
Yep.
So then I thought, all right, it should have a layer in the background of something. Almost sounds like a voice, just as if it was someone singing those notes. And then from there, the song just builds itself. And all the songs do. Like they just start off with one vibe, one riff, one something, one beat. Like that's the first ingredient you put in the bowl, and then all the rest follow, and in the end it's a song. And I never know what the song is going to be, what it's going to sound like, until it's getting close to the end. Then it's almost like you're just throwing shit on a canvas, and then you look, it's like, oh, it looks like this, okay, and then you take it from there and solidify it. And it was the same with even the guests on the album. I really wasn't planning on having guests, but a lot of these songs, it was almost obvious, and it's like there's only one puzzle piece that's going to fit this song, and it's not me. I would be trying to twist myself and be a fake version of somebody else trying to make it happen. So let's say Monstruoso, that song, it needed a guitar solo that kicks in, that sounds like it's not from this world, like it's someone that, like an alien playing guitar. So Steve Vai, perfect guy for that. So like I could have just come up with something myself, but I would just be trying to channel Steve Vai doing that, and the song deserves the real thing. So I asked him, "You want to throw down on this?" And he said, "Yeah." So he put down this crazy solo. I can't figure out what the hell he did. Seriously, like I transcribed the album. I spent weeks with effects pedals and things just trying to figure out what he did, and I think I got it. I mean, I asked him, and he gave me some clues as to what gear he was using, like harmonizers and this pedal that like just shifts everything up on a momentary switch, like a fifth higher. But still, like I was slowing down the recording down to just like to listen for any accidental like open string that hit, so I could hear what string he might have not been on, if there's something. And like just I was really trying to figure out exactly what he did, and it's trying to figure out in the alien language. So perfect for the song. And then with Brian May, that song had so many harmonies, guitar harmonies and melodies, and by the time there was the solo section, and I could picture a little solo answering it. And all I could think of is, if I lay a solo right here, I would just be a poor imitation of Brian May. This song needs him. It needs his spirit. It needs, that thing that he just has. So I asked him, and he threw it down.
Nice.
Yeah. And absolutely, everyone that's on the record, every guest brought something that I can't. Something, that made the songs better than they would have been. So all the drumming, Kyle, he was an incredible drummer. Met him 10 years ago. He was only 16 years old. His band was opening for me in Newcastle, UK, and he offered to have his band learn my songs and be my backing band for that show. I was like, sure.
Wow.
And he just stole the show. He was phenomenal. He killed every song. He was singing backing vocals. He was a great showman, and he was just a cool kid. He was nice. His parents were wonderful. I was like, you know what? I want him to be my drummer for life. And he has been ever since. So he did almost all the drumming on the album, and he's gone on to do a lot of great things. After that, he was playing with Marco Mendoza, touring a lot in Europe. Started playing with Graham Bonnet from Alcatraz.
Oh, I love Graham.
Rainbow, and what a powerful voice.
Yeah.
And then he started playing with Richie Kotzen.
Oh.
So he was Richie Kotzen's solo stuff, his drummer, and now he plays with Paul Stanley's son, Evan, in the band Amber Wild.
Oh, wow.
They have a band together.
That's cool.
So he's doing great stuff, and he did all the drumming on the album except for the one song that Brian May is on. That one is Jerry Gaskill from King's X.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, so he's a dear friend. Love the guy. And actually, we're going to be having dinner in a couple of days. And we always talk about it at dinner. Oh, we should do a song together. We should do something together. So that was the perfect song because it just has that bonhomie. And Jerry's got that great feel. So it was the perfect song for him. And he just came into the studio and laid it down. And
nice.
And then when Derek heard the song, he was like, oh, you can't use one of those crappy VST plugins. You need a real Hammond B3 in there. So he's come in, put that in there. The song oh God, this is so out of tune. I shouldn't even play it. Funeral March. That one, I originally wrote it on piano. And as the song developed and was adding more orchestration and arranging it, I realized it really needed just like a crying violin on there. So I went to my favorite band, Thank You Scientist, and asked the violinist Ben, do you want to throw it down on this? And he did, and it was just the perfect thing for it. He nailed it. Beautiful what he did. And the song Anveshana, that one, it was a riff I had when I was 19 years old. It was when I first decided, okay, I'm going to make an instrumental album. It's been a long time and got a lot of time. Pandemic, sitting in my studio chair for a year. Let's do this. So I had this riff just sitting collecting dust in the back of my head since 1989. And that year is kind of when I went legit. I got my first real write-up in a guitar magazine, like a good national real guitar magazine. And that was sort of like the start of everything, you know. So it had my address in there. So people would write and say, hey, I would love to hear your demo. And I got this one letter from this teenage kid, and he's like around my age in England. And he's like, hello, my name is Guthrie. I'm a guitar player. I'd love to hear your demo. Here's mine. And we became pen pals. It was before email.
Yeah.
He would write us just pen and paper, write each other handwritten letters and send each other cassettes of our demos and song ideas with transcriptions. Here's what I did in this song at 2 minutes, where I just kind of stuck my nose on the fret and put my foot here and this here. And yeah, we've been friends ever since. So
nice.
That song was coming together, and I just had the riff, and then figured, all right, now let's bring in the drums and the bass, and then add a melody on top. And as the song built and built, the middle, picture this long stretch where it was just that riff just going around and around, just circling around, and could just jam on it.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, all right, it'd be good to trade off with someone, do some back and forth. So the perfect person for that is my old dear guitar friend from the time when that riff happened, and just it sort of completes the circle of time for that song. So I asked Guthrie, I was like, you want to throw it down? And he's like, yeah. And I had planned on one of his songs called Rhode Island Shred. There was a fretless solo in the middle that I laid down. So good, now we've played on each other's music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I love the fact that you have such good relationships with all these people. You can just go say, hey, you want to throw down? And they're like, yeah.
It gets to that point. It's like if you do
Yeah.
this long enough, the circle of people that you know, the circle of people that you just came up with, it's like we all started, just in our basements and just kept going and going and going. And yeah, the people you meet and just, yeah, it just, more and more people over time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the song, The Thread, actually, that's kind of how I know Steve Vai is there's this email thread for like 10 years that I've been part of, where it's all these guitar players and we just write every day to each other, just random things, just whatever.
Wow.
It's barely about guitar half the time. I mean, it's mostly just other stuff. And there was this one song, well, Steve is on that thread too. So we know each other from there. And yeah, it's full of a lot of really good guitar players. I don't know why I'm on there. And there was a song I was writing, and I knew I stole the melody from somewhere, but I couldn't figure out where. It's like, what did I steal this from? It's just so familiar. So I hit up my folks on the thread. It's like, where did I steal this from? And they all said, it sounds so familiar, but I can't place it. What is it? I know it's something, but don't know. And then one of the guys on there said, I know what that is. That's a Gary Moore song. I was like, oh, shit. Okay. So I went back and I changed the chords, changed the melody, and just rewrote the part, and then showed it to them again. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's good now. That's good. And then it went into this first break where I did this crazy tapping thing, and they suggested, they said, maybe you're going into that too soon. Like, do something not as crazy and then go into that. I was like, yeah, you're right. I'm rushing it. And the song wouldn't have happened without their input.
Yeah.
So I named the song after them. So that's why that song is called The Thread.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
named after my thread mates.
So I'm curious, and you don't have to tell me, but I'm curious, like if these are all recognizable names that we would know.
Probably.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is kind of cool. So it's like like an email thread just between these amazing guitar people, and you just throw stuff at each other and say, "What do you think?"
Usually we don't do a lot of that.
Okay.
It's more just silly stuff and just random stuff, or just a Facebook post of someone doing something stupid,
Okay.
and we all laugh at it and comment on it or whatever.
Yeah.
Just like normal,
interesting.
like friend stuff.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
like a music thing. It's just
Oh, okay. So it's
normal
not necessarily a music thing then.
No, it's just normal shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's cool. So I wanted to ask you off the subject. We just celebrated what would have been Eddie Van Halen's 70th birthday.
Yes.
And I've just been binging Van Halen since his birthday because it just threw me back into that time machine where I wanted to go back to the days of Eddie Van Halen. And I wondered if you ever had a chance to meet him, if you have any stories with him.
Never met him.
Really?
I got to jam 2 years ago with Michael Anthony. That was cool as hell. And
yeah.
And Eddie, I was kind of late to the game.
Yeah.
I was 12 years old. It was 1982, and that's when I first heard Van Halen. Remember, I was at a band practice, and this kid was there, and he said, "Do you know how to tap?" I was like, "What's tapping?" I had no idea, and he showed me. So I'm going. He's like, "No, this way." And he played me Eruption. I was like, "Oh my God, I didn't know a guitar could do that." And then he played me Mean Street.
Oh, yeah.
And that just warped my brain. It blew my mind. And from that point on, my outlook, or I should just say my look towards how I looked at guitar was completely different. And I think it was for a lot of people. It's almost like there was guitar pre-Eddie and guitar after Eddie, and they were two different things.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He kind of, there was rules, like it was almost like there was rules for guitar playing before Eddie, and then afterwards there was no rules. It was just like,
yeah,
it's open. It's all open.
Completely. Like suddenly it's okay to pepper an album with instrumental guitar songs here and there in between, and tapping on a nylon string, and just his rhythm, just his his speed shuffle, and his rhythm and the dynamics. Just listen to any song. It's like all the flashy soloing and the work with the bar to just pre-bend a bend.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just take any riff, just the groove of, oh God, all the ghost notes, and like he was a drummer.
Yeah.
I guess living with his brother and growing up with a drummer definitely must have helped, because he was so percussive and rhythmic and dynamic and had such a groove and a pocket to his playing, just like, just phenomenal. And then on top of that, just the strength of his fingers and bending his first finger, and just the phrases, he was one of a kind. He was this anomaly that just Where he came from, I don't know, but I'm glad that we were alive at the same time to experience it.
Yeah. It's a really cool analogy that you made about pre-Eddie Van Halen and post-Eddie Van Halen.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can see how he shaped the history of guitar moving forward.
Completely. I would say there would probably be, like, hair bands wouldn't be what they were if not for Van Halen.
No.
Shred guitar and just virtuosity on guitar and just putting guitar in the forefront as guitar music.
Yeah.
Wouldn't exist the same way. He altered the course of rock music. He really did.
He really did.
Yeah.
So that obviously was an influence to you.
Completely. Yeah. He was, it's almost like hearing Van Halen was like being given a permission slip to say that says, go do whatever the fuck you want. And I started experimenting with guitar design and doing all weird things and ripping the frets off of guitars and just, yeah, even like this whole thing with the thimble, that whole thing of getting higher notes beyond the fretboard. I would have been doing any of that if I didn't hear Van Halen.
Yeah.
I'd still be playing just how I would be just. Before Eddie, I was very Angus Young-ish, the way I played. After Eddie, it was just more about, let me just find how do you even describe it? Just everything that you are, everything that makes a human being, an individual, their own identity. Let me find that and bring it out and show it. It's not just about serving the song, where it's like, okay, I'm going to play for the song. I'm playing the song. And then here's a guitar solo. No, it's now the guitar is its own voice.
Yeah.
It's more than just something for the song.
Yeah. And who would have ever thought that could happen with a voice, with a frontman like David Lee Roth? I mean, but the guitar had its own voice.
Really did. It was the second singer.
Yeah.
And actually, AC/DC was a similar way.
They were.
Yeah, like if you look at Angus, he was definitely frontman number 2. Some might even say number 1. Band.
So have you met, like, obviously you and Steve are friends. Have you got to meet some of your guitar idols?
I've met a few. I've jammed with Ace Frehley a couple of times.
Nice.
Once with Ace and Peter.
Nice.
And that was cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah, did some songs that they hadn't done in a long time. So that was cool. I jammed with the band Boston.
Really?
Yeah. That was end of 2016. Spent about 3 days up there in a rehearsal room just to see if I would fit in for the live band as a second singer, to sing a few songs and to play guitar. And jamming with them was definitely a highlight. I've loved that band since the first time I heard them when that album came out.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was nice. Playing those songs.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else?
Nice.
Trying to think who else. Oh, I did jam with Brian May. We did some playing at this wonderful festival called Starmus, STARMUS.com. Look that one up. It's amazing. It's a combination of astrophysics.
Wow.
Where they have all these geniuses, the greatest minds, giving lectures during the day, and then musicians perform at night. So we did some playing together in that. Yeah, good stuff.
The other thing I wanted to ask you real quick is I don't think a lot of people know that you did some stuff with Asia too, which was really cool.
Yeah, in 2019 when they opened for Yes, I played guitar and sang. I fronted the band. And then for the last 4 songs, Steve Howe would come out and I would take off the guitar and I would just sing, and we would do the big hits. And it was all the surviving members, and they were just such wonderful guys and great music. And that was an absolute pleasure. Yeah.
I mean, think back to their albums, and we talk about album covers, and they had some of the coolest album covers.
Yeah. Roger Dean that did all the
Yeah.
Yes, and he did the Asia stuff too. Phenomenal.
Yeah. So my next question for you is this going to go live? Are we going to have a tour?
I'm not looking to tour to like go in a van place to place to place. I mean, it's guitar music, so it's not going to be a tour bus.
Yeah.
It'll be a van or a car, or I'll just be hitchhiking. So I'll be doing one-offs. I'll be doing stuff. I'll be getting out and playing on April 1st. Me and Derek and Tony Franklin, fretless bass monster, and Vinny Appice.
Nice.
We're playing the Kennedy Center in DC.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we're going to play the Canary Islands the end of April, doing another Starmus festival we're going to do together. So doing that. Yeah, I've played with some interesting people that people don't know about. I played with Nancy Sinatra. We did a night together, and there is this Turkish composer. He's incredible. His name is Fahir Atakoglu, and he's like this progressive composer. So it's this. It almost sounds like if you could picture Sons of Apollo if it was only orchestra. That's what it almost sounds like. Like there's this one song that I just love that used the same octatonic scale we would always use. It was like 5 and then 6. It was just really cool stuff. So we did this whole show together for it was a earthquake relief fundraising show in Washington D.C. in 1999, and he did all the music for CNN Turkey then also, and I played guitar on all of those. Yeah, I've done a lot of weird shit. I worked with the State Department for years.
Did you?
Where, yeah, they would send me to different countries, and I would do these musical collaborative programs with local musicians there. Albania, Belarus, all around Southeast Asia. Yeah. You want to have a fuckload of interesting experiences. You know, I read a lot of Stoic philosophy, and part of that is you could die tomorrow. So, you know, live a good life today and appreciate the time that you have, and know that it's all just borrowed and it will be returned. So with that in mind, you want to look back and say, all right, I lived a full, interesting life. That's what you want to do, is you want to have an interesting life to look back on and say, all right, my time here wasn't wasted. I made it something interesting. So musicians should absolutely, or just all people, seek out the shit that's outside your comfort zone and just, you know, keep one foot in and take that other foot out and do all the things that come out of left field that you don't expect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I there was another band I know you had some influence on, and I actually interviewed them, and I believe their name was the Doodles.
The Dodies.
Dodies, yes.
Dodies.
Yes.
Their third album is going to be coming out very soon. I think maybe in March.
Really?
Sure, but what an amazing band. So yes, the Dodies, I've been recording and mixing and mastering their albums. Actually, the last 2 albums I've been recording in Ireland at this wonderful studio. This guy named Owen, old friend of mine, has this wonderful studio in the north of Ireland, all out in like the middle of nowhere on this island inside an island. It's called Inch Island. And he has this great studio there. So the last 2 albums, we would go there, we would stay at his place and record everything. He would record us. And phenomenal band. So for those that don't know the Doties, it's a duo that sound to me sort of like Nirvana, Radiohead type stuff.
Yeah.
And the singer has this dynamic voice that has such a range and so many dimensions to it, and so many sounds come out of his voice, very melodic. Some people compare him to like Justin from the Darkness. He gets that sometimes because of the higher range, and very deep lyrics, really interesting music. The drummer plays the entire drum set with right arm while playing bass with his left hand and singing backing vocals. And they just nail it. When we record, no click tracks, no anything. It's the 2 of them in the room together, just eye to eye playing. And first or second take is it. And they're just so good. Everyone should go check out their music video. First one, if they're going to be a first-time listener, look up Falsetto. Look up that song. It's going to be on their new album called Dreamism, which is coming out very soon.
Nice.
And yeah, they're phenomenal. They're one of my favorite bands to work with, and I just love them to death.
See, I got turned on to them from you.
Yeah.
I mean, you said, hey, you should check these guys out. And this was years ago. And so I ended up interviewing them, and we had a really good interview, and we talked about a lot of stuff. And yeah, they were so much fun. Just good kids too.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's them. There's a band called Evoken. Do you know them?
No.
Okay. They're a doom metal band.
Okay.
That started in the late 90s. Dare to say kind of influential in their sound. And really good. I mean, just if you want to hear dark doom metal, I did their first 3 albums: Quietus, Embrace the Emptiness, Antithesis of Light. Really just like, it just sounds like you take a metal album and you slow it down to a quarter speed. It's like,
yeah. There's something about doom I really enjoy, and it's not all the time, but there's sometimes I just love some good doom.
So we're doing another album together, and we're just finishing up the mixing now. It's going to be incredible. It sounds so good. It's just really just intense. It sounds like the sound of it is just really good. We've outdone ourselves. So we've got that going, and there's another band called Shavrock, and it's these 2 brothers, and their last name is Shavrik. And their rabbi said, you should be called Shavrock. They're pretty rocking. And what an interesting band they are. They write these beautiful, great songs that have such uplifting lyrics. Vocally, they almost sound like Simon and Garfunkel. And although they get a little louder and higher range, and the song foundation of them all, like the sound is almost something like Daughtry. So, and the guitar player sounds like Slash, like very melodic, bluesy rock guitar in there. So picture, if you can imagine, Daughtry or 3 Doors Down with Simon and Garfunkel on vocals and Slash on guitar.
Wow.
So we're doing an album together I've been producing, and we just have 2 more songs to record, and really interesting stuff, just good sounding stuff. So
I like it.
Yeah, I've been loving all the producing. That's really my favorite thing, is producing and teaching. Just taking all my stupid mistakes that I learned from and helping other people learn. Just helping people, just being the coach and helping people launch what they're doing. I love doing that. And yeah, as you were saying before about touring, I will be doing a couple of shows, doing a rock and roll fantasy camp in LA, coming up soon, the 20th to the 23rd of February.
Okay.
And then the 20th to the 23rd of March, I'll be doing another rock and roll fantasy camp in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Wow.
And we're going to be doing a lot more during the year too. Yeah.
Well, I think the important part for me now is we talked about you helping musicians and stuff, but you're a very charitable guy, and you really have some charities that are really close to your heart. I'd love to just mention those.
I mean, we all we do what we can.
Yeah.
Whatever, every one of us, whatever it is, we do whatever we can. For me, I'm able to, play shows and hopefully, fundraising shows and inspire people to do good things and just positivity. And I know my first, the album I put out in 2001 after 9/11 happened. The album was going to be called Guitars Suck. And after that happened, I changed the name of it just so people would know it's a fundraising album to just 911, and donated the proceeds to the American Red Cross. We all do what we can. That was something I could do. I don't want to pat on the back. It's not any like, every one of us does whatever we can do. That's I'm not doing anything special. So now I do, like, one of the main things to get me out of the house, if I'm going to get on stage, that motivates me is if it's some kind of like charity show, something like that. So there's one, in fact, that's where I met the band Shavrock, is down in Baltimore. Every year, there's this organization, caseycares.org.
Okay.
CASEY, cares.org. Go on the website, learn about them. Very good organization, very personal organization. There was, I was involved in MS research funding. A friend of mine, a good friend, he got MS and he started a foundation. This was late 90s. All his family and friends, we were just volunteers, and we would put on these dinner comedy music shows and donate 100% proceeds toward research. And we researched the researchers to see what looked like it was heading in the right direction. And we would visit the laboratories and everything. And we were very, it was legit. You got to be careful with all this charity stuff.
Yeah, you do.
There's so many times that people say, hey, play on my album, it's for charity, and they're the fucking charity.
Yeah, exactly.
Or they have good intentions, but not a dime is going to be raised, and it's not going to be helping anyone. They're just, paying their own expenses. So, and there's a lot of scams.
There is.
So I try to be very choosy and recommendations and research and make sure that, and everyone should, if you're going to get involved in something, make sure it's legit.
Yeah.
Don't just, if it's something that touches your heart, don't stop there. Step back and think and research and look and make sure that it's legitimate and it's not just people taking advantage of the good intentions of others.
Yeah. Do you still do anything with the Wildlife Trust of India?
That has been a long time. Been a very long time. Like I tend to, bounce around. Like,
oh, do you? Okay.
Like a gig for Operation Thal. Done things with that with some good friends of mine in Dubai, and they connected that. Yeah.
So I mean, there are so many charities out there. It's almost, you could go broke donating to all of them. I think it's important for us to just take the ones that mean something to you and donate to them. Help. Yeah, and it's like that. It's something personal that comes your way. That you may have even known about, but someone in your life or just someone you meet makes you aware, and we just have that human goodness where we want to help. Yeah. So my last question for you is, I just need to know, the album's been out a week now. What has been the reception to the album?
Oh, well, I haven't gotten any death threats. So
that's good.
Yeah. So far, so good. Yeah. Good. I've been getting a lot of orders from distributors and so far it's been good. That's all you can hope for. You just do your best. You put out something legitimate, honest, genuine, and the world decides from there. They decide what's going to happen, and whoever likes it, likes it. Whoever doesn't. And you just make it for the people that like it, and you don't know who those people are going to be until you put it out.
Yeah, and I would say I hope that you make it because you like it, and and then you just hope that somebody else likes it. And because to me, that's the way art should be. You know, you make it because you like it.
Exactly. It's like you have a story you want to tell and you want to share, and it's something real that you've lived, and hopefully the story resonates with people.
Yeah. Because I couldn't play a guitar to save my life. But I have to say, I feel like I'm a fairly good photographer. So that is art too, you know, and we all have our art, and we just hope we do it because we like it, and then just give it to everybody else, and whoever likes it grabs onto it.
Yeah, it's all about capturing a moment.
Exactly.
That sticks with people and just makes people, it just stays with them. That's what you want to do. Yeah.
Yes. Well, Ron, I appreciate your time. It's been amazing to talk to you again. It's been too long. I'm just looking forward to getting out and seeing you again someday soon.
Someday soon. Yes. Absolutely. Always a pleasure.
Yes. So everybody go pick up the new album. It's out now. And buy a physical copy. Buy a physical copy.
I wish I had one with me here. Yeah. But yeah, just go to bumblefoot.com. You can go to Deco Entertainment, DEKO.com, and it's there too. And yeah, and I hope everyone enjoys it. That's it. Yeah.
And pick up and check out the bands that we talked about.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So thank you again, Ron. And it was great to catch up with you. And I hope to see you soon.
Thank you. I hope so. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.